Now, as artificial intelligence becomes ever more pervasive in society, so do concerns about its potentially negative consequences. New Fox poll numbers out tonight showing that the top 3 reactions when people are asked about AI are negative. 16% of those surveyed, for instance, afraid or thinking the technology is dangerous. So let's talk about AI and folks' feelings about it with Strat America's managing director, Seth Schachner. Seth, great to have you here. I'm excited about AI, but our polls show, first of all, 86%, I think, was the figure we have there that think it's going to change the way we live. That's, I'm surprised it's not 99%. But 56%, I think, was the figure who said they're concerned about it. Right to be concerned?
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, I think for those of us who've worked with it, and I've actually touched it in a lot of different ways in the entertainment and music, different digital aspects of it, it's got a lot of good things you can do with it. Things that people don't always recognize, that don't kind of rise to the surface, if you will. So, and they're quiet things, automating functions you don't need a person to do, and creating sound mixes and tailoring things for advertisers. So there's plenty of good stuff with it. There are some disruptive aspects to it. Here in Hollywood and media, a lot of it isn't licensed yet. The landscape isn't clear. So everyone from writers to creators are looking at it with a little bit of fear as well. And I think that's fair as well. But I always come out that it's going to be managed in some way by humans, and it will find its rightful place personally.
It's weird that when we talk about regulating it, and there's talk about how we ensure that it is not used for bad purposes, we can do that here. The Chinese government isn't going to worry about that. The Russian government isn't going to worry about that. The Iranian government, the North Korean government.
And there's, the part of the issue is with these new apps, OpenAI, for example, a developer can write on top of the app as well. So it's not something that is under centralized control. And I think, entities like Microsoft recognize that as well. And, from what I've seen, even in D.C., there are coalitions coming together across a lot of industries to try and bring some order to this, to put some standards in place, basically. And I think you'll see that. But it is a little bit troubling right now, just how discordant it is right now.
It's interesting. I've talked to some of the writers who are out on strike right now here in Hollywood. The great concern among them, should they be concerned? I mean, they see AI coming, and you ask, ChatGPT or something to write a screenplay, it can turn something out pretty quickly.
They have a ton of very legitimate concerns, and we've talked in the past about the new streaming landscape, how it changes everything for everyone. The industry I came from, music, not just AI, but digital, has reshaped everything from compensation to rights to content packages. So, yeah, they should be concerned, but at the same time, I think you'll probably see some sort of medium, including compensation and all these terms and writers' rooms and things that are being kicked around that hopefully bring the strike and some of these subjects to an end, basically, hopefully.
Let's talk TikTok, too. Now banned, formerly banned in Montana. You're in trouble if you want to download the TikTok app there, or if you enable anybody to do it. Here's the Montana Attorney General this week.
Where exactly does the First Amendment fall here when we're talking about social media companies, but specifically social media companies that are in large part controlled by enemy foreign adversaries here? That's why we're seeing the blowback that we are. But I mean, this is a Chinese spying tool, period. And that's why we banned it here in Montana.
I mean, I think it's potentially a Chinese spying tool would be a fair way of putting it. But that aside, I mean, is it really possible to ban TikTok and prevent people using it in one state?
It's very impractical and unlikely, and I tend to think the heat is actually going to be at a higher level, a federal level, if you will, and I think there's quite a few people that are quite mad about this. I don't know if it's necessarily about the specifics that Montana's promoting, and I tend to think that one isn't going to be successful, but I do think there's some very serious hot water for them at a federal level, actually, and it does go to Chinese ownership, basically, and it's a very difficult thing to resolve. I think when the CEO was in front of Congress a few months ago, I don't think he did a particularly good job of making the case, and I've encountered a bunch of people just throughout my consulting life, senators, people just that I met, and they seem to be pretty irritated about this, and I think that they will act, actually.
Very interesting to see where it goes for sure. Seth Schachner, great to have you here, as always.